Royal Navy, ho!
Order, get!
A very warm welcome to everybody, and thank you for gathering here this morning. It is a sad day, but it is also a chance to look forward to a hopeful future, even as we look back on a cherished life. At Lloyd's, it is our custom to ring the Lutine Bell once for bad news and twice for good news. Those chimes have marked events from the sinking of ships to the conclusion of conflicts and the birth of royal babies. Last Thursday, and again just a moment ago, the bell rang out to mark the death of Her Majesty the Queen. Its note provided a moment for us all to remember, reflect, and revere the life that offered so much comfort and inspiration to so many of us over so many years. And I'm sure it will continue to do so in the years ahead. The Queen made 3 official visits to Lloyd's during her reign in 1952, in 1986, and in 2014. On that first visit, the same year as her own accession, Her Majesty charged Lloyd's with embodying the highest qualities of British commerce, keenness and efficiency, with a real and deep public spirit. We continue to embrace that responsibility today. Her words are indelibly written in our history and will be cherished by all at Lloyd's in the years to come. But as we remember the legacy of one monarch, we also welcome the accession of another. Later in this ceremony, the bell will ring twice to mark the accession to the throne of His Majesty King Charles III. It represents the start of a new chapter in our shared history, and for Lloyd's, a chance to recognize the beginning of another historic partnership. And that partnership already has firm foundations, as Lloyd's has been privileged to host His Majesty while Prince of Wales on several occasions, most recently in June last year to launch the insurance task force of his Sustainable Markets Initiative, which we were honored to be invited to chair. As His Majesty takes on the great burdens of state at this time of sadness and loss, we offer our support and condolences to him and to his family. For our part, we will continue to carry the baton of building a braver and more sustainable future, as championed by His Majesty and charged to Lloyd's and to others through the work of his Sustainable Markets Initiative. Our late Queen's example reminds us that so much of leadership and of duty is about stewarding what we have, as well as we are able to hand it to those that follow in a better state than we inherited it. And we will offer our unwavering support to our new King as he continues that work into the future. Our 2 monarchs have also offered us a bold model of how to reconcile ancient traditions with recent innovations. Those who were here for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee a few short months ago may remember me saying that in the same year Her Majesty visited us for our 325th anniversary, she also sent her first tweet to thousands of appreciative followers. It's a simple example of the monarchy's willingness to adapt and to embrace change, but it represents the much deeper, unseen work of constantly evolving an organization to meet the needs of the times. That work is essential to renewing and refocusing the institutions that offer us constancy and reassurance in the face of uncertainty. It is a belief that has formed the bedrock of Lloyd's relationship with the British monarchy over the years, and that we're recognizing today. Because the ideas that last are those that are able to both celebrate, that we're both able to celebrate and learn from the past, while reaching forward into a brighter and braver future. It is an undertaking every one of us carries, because ultimately institutions are built on people. People like those gathered here today, like our late Queen and our new King, and like those around the world simultaneously mourning and celebrating. So today we gather to mark not only the passing of a crown, but also the beginning of a new chapter in an enduring partnership. Long may it last, and long may His Majesty reign. I now invite Sheila Cameron, Chief Executive of the London Market Association, to read a poem of reflection. Thank you.
For the Hardest Days by Clint Smith. Some evenings, after days when the world feels like it has poured out all its despair onto me, when I am awash with burdens that rest atop my body like a burlap of jostling shadows, I find a place to watch the sun set. I dig my feet into a soil that has rebirthed itself 1,000,000 times over. I listen to the sound of leaves as they decide whether or not it is time to descend from their branches. It is hard to describe the comfort one feels in sitting with something you trust will always be there, something you can count on to remain familiar when all else seems awry. How remarkable it is to know that so many have watched the same sun set before you. How the wind can carry pollen and drop it somewhere it has never been. How the leaves have always become the soil that then become the leaves again. How maybe we are not so different from the leaves. How maybe we are also always being reborn to be something more than we once were. How maybe that's what waking up each morning is. A reminder that we are born of the same atoms as every plant and bird and mountain and ocean around us.
Good morning, everyone, and let me join Bruce in thanking you for being here today. Rather than repeating the beautiful words already said, I just wanted to give some personal thoughts on the two occasions we're recognizing today. Like so many others, I've found myself incredibly moved this past week since the news of Her Majesty's death was announced. It was only afterwards that I started to think about why that reaction was so strong and so universal. The idea that came up time and again, and it's been repeated in news broadcasts and royal speeches, was the sense of duty. I grew up in a military family where duty was a powerful notion, but it looked and felt very different to the quiet, unassuming devotion we've seen from our Queen over the years. The Cambridge Dictionary will give you two very different definitions of duty. The first is the slightly unromantic notion of something you have to do because it's part of the job. I'm sure we've all felt that at times, and I'm sure there were occasions when, for Her Majesty, shaking hands and making small talk with insurance folk like us was exactly that, a regrettable part of the day job. The other definition, I suspect, was more compelling. That of something you feel is the right thing to do. Our Queen often spoke about her moral conviction that a life devoted to public service was both a job and a joy. It gave us a regular reminder that there were people out there who dedicated their lives to serving and supporting others. More recently, I think it's why the clap for carers struck such a chord with so many of us, why we support the military charities at Lloyd's, and we talk about the importance of our purpose, and ultimately why the Queen enjoyed higher approval ratings throughout her reign than any celebrity, any sportsperson, or any head of state. Because being bound to the service of others, working for their betterment through the good times and the bad, is not just an enjoyable pastime, it's a good way to live. We've seen that mantle picked up by His Majesty King Charles III through his tireless work on causes from climate change to community advancement, on initiatives from the Prince's Trust to the Sustainable Markets Initiative. His first speech as king confirmed that commitment, promising, as the Queen did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself throughout the remaining time God grants me to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation. I, for one, am moved and inspired by that commitment of duty to and serving others. But more than anything, as I've reflected over the past week, I have felt immense gratitude. They say you don't realize what you have until it's gone. Well, gratitude is the practice of recalling these good things every day. For some of us, that might mean a stable job or a reliable friendship. For others, it will mean the ability to pay the bills and heat our homes throughout a challenging winter ahead. Whatever the case, gratitude turns our attention away from what we lack and towards what we have. I'm determined to keep that idea front and center as we say goodbye to a cherished leader and prepare to welcome a proven public servant. So today, I'm grateful for a life well lived, as His Majesty so eloquently put it. I'm grateful for the family and friends to reflect on that life with, and I'm grateful for the promise of another life bound in duty to serve others, as our incoming King has pledged to all who call the United Kingdom home or a home away from home. Long may he reign, and long live the King. Thank you. will now ring the Lutine Bell to mark the accession of His Majesty King Charles III to the throne of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth of Nations.
We will now be led by the Lloyd's Choir in singing God Save the King. Three cheers for His Majesty the King. Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray!
Right, this, next.
Quick, march!